This week's episode is brought to you by the Inner Bonding Masterclass. When you join this membership, you'll be part of a compassionate and supportive community who understands what you're going through and who will help you throughout your healing journey. The Inner Bonding membership is created to provide laser coaching for you and others in the community who may be facing the same struggles so that you can practice the inner bonding process more effectively and apply it to your life. You also get to vote on the topic that we will focus on in our bi-monthly masterclass. This way, you and the community will always learn about and get guidance on the topic you're requesting most. Go to innerbonding.com/members to join us. You can use the code BENEFIT to get a 10% discount on your registration at checkout. Again, go to innerbonding.com/members. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Margaret Paul, best-selling author and co-creator of the powerful Inner Bonding self-healing process. We are struggling through a time where a lot of difficult feelings are being generated. And many people have never learned how to learn from their feelings, how to take responsibility for their feelings, and how to manage the very big, painful feelings of life. So I want to talk today about feelings. In the inner bonding process, we divide feelings into two different kinds. One kind of feeling is what we call wounded feelings. These are the feelings that we actually create ourselves by abandoning ourselves. And we abandon ourselves usually in one of four ways. We ignore our feelings, we judge them, we judge ourselves for a lot of things, which creates a lot of pain. We numb our feelings with various addictions, and we might make other people responsible for our feelings. All of these are ways of creating a lot of pain inside. Like I said, what we call the wounded feelings, which are fear and anxiety and depression, guilt, shame, anger, aloneness, emptiness, jealousy. These are the feelings that come from our false beliefs. These are the feelings that we feel when we're operating out of our false beliefs that lead to our self-abandoning behavior. Then there's another kind of feelings. And these are the feelings that are generated by life, by loss, by real and present danger, not the kind of fear that comes from what we're telling ourselves when nothing is really happening that's scary, but something really scary is actually happening. These are feelings like heartbreak, like loneliness, like grief, like helplessness over others and situations, and fear of real and present danger. Most of us, when we were growing up, couldn't manage these feelings. We didn't have any role models for managing these very deep and painful feelings of life. And so, of course, we had to learn to avoid them. Of course, we had to learn to abandon ourselves in these many ways and avoid feeling these very deep and painful feelings. We had to learn to stay up in our head and ignore our feelings. We had to learn to avoid them with various addictions. We had to learn to judge them or make others responsible for them as part of our survival. So we don't want to judge ourselves for these forms of self-abandonment that are causing the wounded feelings. What we do want to do is learn from the wounded feelings and learn to manage the very painful core feelings of life, especially now with the challenges that we're having with COVID-19. So with the wounded feelings, what you want to start to do is go inside. Don't avoid them. Don't move away from them. Go inside. Be with them. Sit with them like you would sit with a hurting child. And decide that you want responsibility for those feelings rather than avoid them. And then open to learning about what these feelings are telling you. All of our feelings have very, very important information for us. They're all telling us about whether we're loving ourselves or whether we're abandoning ourselves. And so when you feel these wounded feelings of anxiety and depression and anger and guilt and shame and aloneness and emptiness, you want to breathe inside and be with them. And then you want to open to learning about what they're telling you. In the inner bonding process, there's only two intentions. One is the intention to learn about what's true and what's loving to ourselves, about what we're doing that may be abandoning ourselves, and about our false beliefs. And the other is the intention to protect from pain with various forms of controlling behavior, which is what self-abandonment is. It's various forms of trying to control ourselves, to not feel what we feel, trying to control others, trying to control the outcome of things. In other words, trying to control a lot of things that we actually don't have control over. And that's one of the things that creates a lot of stress, is when we try to control others and we try to control outcomes. We may succeed in suppressing our core painful feelings, the feelings of life, but we bring about the wounded feelings when we do that, which may be even worse than the painful feelings of life. And so you want to move into your heart and breathe into your heart and open to learning and open to an older, wiser part of you, your own higher self. And invite in the love and compassion of your higher self, your higher power, however you see that energy of love and compassion is always there. And so when you open to it, you can invite it into your heart. When we're open to learning and we invite that into our heart, we're showing up as what we call a loving adult. And this is what we need to be for our feelings. And from this loving adult space, you want to go in and ask that feeling part of you. That's your soul, who communicates often through feelings. You want to ask what you're telling yourself, how you're treating yourself, that's causing any of the wounded feelings, like anxiety, depression, anger. And once you understand what you're telling yourself and how you're treating yourself, you want to go a little deeper and ask, why are you doing this? What are the beliefs that are causing you to abandon yourself in these various ways? And this is a way that we uncover the false beliefs that we're acting from. And once you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, then open to learning with that higher part of you and ask, what is the truth about any of these false beliefs that you're operating from? Let the answer just pop into your mind. It may come right away, it may not, but if you ask the question with a sincere desire to learn, what is the truth, you will eventually receive the answer. It will pop into your mind. And you also want to ask, what is loving to myself? What is in my highest good? What is the loving action? And again, the answer might not come right away, but eventually, if you're open, it will pop into your mind. Now, there are many, many loving actions we can take. It may be simple, like just being present with your feelings. It may be getting more exercise. It may be changing your diet. It may be speaking up with somebody. There's so many different loving actions that we might need to take for ourselves. It may mean to just be practicing this process of inner bonding. But whatever it is, whatever you're guided to do, take that loving action. And once you take it, you want to tune in to how you feel. And if you feel some relief, then you know that you have indeed taken a loving action. And that's what you do when you're aware of any of the wounded feelings inside. But today, with the COVID-19, we're experiencing many of the painful feelings of life. In fact, many of my clients say, when I wake up in the morning, I feel so much sadness. Why am I feeling so much sadness? One of the things you might want to tune into is that many of you are very sensitive, and you're picking up the sadness, the grief of the planet. And most people have never learned to process their grief in a way that releases it out of the body. So when you wake up, you might be feeling the sadness and the grief of the planet. You might be feeling the helplessness of what's happening. You might be feeling the loneliness that you will feel if you're in isolation. You might be feeling the heartbreak of the loss of loved ones, or so much loss on the planet, or the heartbreak of financial scarcity, financial insecurity, or food insecurity. There's so much happening here that can create these core painful feelings of life. And what I want to help you with right now is how to manage these feelings. So I'd like you to take some deep breaths and tune in to the loneliness, the heartbreak, the grief, the fear of real and present danger, the helplessness over the situation, over others, over COVID-19. Breathe into that and get present with it. Put your hands on your heart. Hands on the heart stimulate oxytocin, the feel-good hormone. So it's very important when you're aware of these core painful feelings of life that you put your hands on your heart. Breathing into that, getting very, very present, and visualizing an older, wiser part of you, or whatever you experience as your higher power, with you. Visualizing that higher guidance behind you and enveloping you with the energy of love and compassion, so that you know that you're really not alone. We really are never alone. We were not dropped here on this planet alone. That higher guidance, our own higher self, energy of the universe, however you want to see that, God, spirit, angels, whatever works for you, is always here, always guiding us towards our highest good when we're open to learning and we're keeping the frequency of our body high by eating healthy foods, which I will go into in another podcast. For now, hands on the heart, breathing into these very painful feelings and visualizing your higher guidance all around you and within you, bringing comfort, bringing support, and letting you know that you're not alone. And now, what you want to do is tend to the feelings as if you're tending to an actual child. You can imagine these feelings as an inner child who you're holding, and you're being held while you're holding your inner child. And I'm going to say what I say to my inner child when I'm feeling these painful feelings of life. And you might want to say this to your inner child along with me. My dear, sweet little one, I know you're really hurting. I know you're feeling lonely or heartbroken or scared, or you're in grief, or you're feeling helpless over a lot of situations, or you're feeling all of these at once. And I want you to know that I'm right here with you. And I want you to know that our higher guidance is here with us too. And you're not alone. And I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm going to be here with you to help with these really painful feelings. I know how hard it is right now. And I know that I may have been leaving you alone with these feelings, numbing you out, eating junk food, turning to various addictions, judging you, ignoring you, blaming others, making others responsible. But right now, I'm with you. Right now, I'm loving you. Right now, I am honoring the fact that you are feeling these feelings. Of course you are. If you couldn't feel these feelings, you would be very turned off, not able to feel the pain of life. We don't want that, because if we can't feel the pain of life, we can't feel the love and joy of life. The love and joy and peace and all this pain are in the same place in the heart. So if we shut down to the pain, we shut down to the wonderful feelings of life as well. So I'm right here to help you feel these feelings, to let you know that it's 100% okay to be feeling these feelings. Of course you feel them. They are natural feelings. And I know that we couldn't feel them as children. They were too big. We had to avoid them. But now, as adults, in bigger bodies, and with me here, and with spirit here, with love here, we can feel these feelings. So I'm right here with you right now. And I'm going to stay with you until you're ready to release these for now. We may feel them again in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and I'll be with you again. But for right now, it's okay to release them. And when I feel ready, I let these feelings move through me. And I say to my guidance, whatever that is for you, I release this pain to you. And I ask for peace and acceptance in return. And I breathe that in. It's so very important to learn to do this, to learn to do inner bonding, the 6 steps of inner bonding, which I went through with you, with the wounded feelings, to see what you're doing that's creating that pain. And it's so important to be doing this process for the painful feelings of life. It's especially important right now, but it's always important, because there are many situations in life that cause pain, not just now. We lose loved ones. People are mean and we get hurt. We might have job insecurity. There's so many things that can happen that hurt our heart. And when that happens, we want to be present with our love, our compassion, our understanding. It's very important to name these feelings, to name the grief, the loneliness, the helplessness over others and situations, the heartbreak, the fear of real and present danger. It's important to name them. When you name them, your soul, your inner child, gets that you get what's happening. And that's just really important. So often we try and get other people to get us, other people to see us, other people to have compassion for what's happening for us. But we are the ones that need to do this. We are the ones that need to be taking responsibility for all of our feelings, for whatever we're doing to create the wounded feelings, for learning from those feelings, and for learning to manage the core painful feelings of life. While there's no easy answers right now to what we're all facing, we can learn to manage it with peace. This is so important. So important to learn to have peace in your heart and your soul. The false beliefs and the unloving actions towards ourselves, they come from a wounded part of ourselves, which in inner bonding we call the ego-wounded self. This is a part of us that we created as we were growing up, part of our survival mechanisms. This part of us is in the lower part of our mind called the amygdala. It doesn't know anything about peace. It's just all about control. It's all about creating fear and guilt and shame and anxiety and depression and anger. It just wants to be in control, and it doesn't believe that there's a higher part of us, a higher power that's here helping us to know what's true, helping us to have the strength and the guidance to take loving action on our own behalf and on behalf of others. And this part of us is never going to learn anything about peace. But we don't have to operate from that wounded part of ourselves. We can learn to operate from our heart and soul, rather than just from the mind. And we can make the mind the servant of the heart and soul, rather than the one in charge. And this is what needs to happen. And this is one reason why it's so important to learn to get present in your body. Step 1 of inner bonding is learning to move out of mind focus and into body focus. Because your feelings are in your body. They're not in your mind. I call this having your inner baby monitor on, because if you have a baby that you love and the baby is sleeping in another room, you don't just go out for lunch. You put a baby monitor on and you listen for the baby. And the moment the baby cries, you're right there, tending to the baby, tuning into what that baby needs. This is what we need to do on the inner level. We need to have our inner baby monitor on, staying tuned in inside the body. Now, this is a challenge. When I first started doing inner bonding, I was in my head. I had learned to tune into everybody else's feelings, but to completely ignore my own. So it took time and practice for me to get into step 1 of inner bonding, being present in my body with my feelings. But it is so worth that practice. Because when you learn to stay in your body, to listen to your feelings, then you can immediately attend. You can immediately attend to how you're treating yourself, what you're telling yourself that's causing the wounded feelings. And you can immediately attend to the deeper, painful feelings of life rather than just suffering, rather than numbing out, rather than turning to all the addictions. While we're helpless over others and events, we are not helpless over ourselves. The essence of our free will is that we get to choose our intention moment by moment. We get to choose the intention to learn about truth and about loving ourselves, or we get to choose the intention to protect and control and avoid, which is what creates so much misery. And you will find when you learn to consistently choose the intention to learn about loving yourselves, and you can stay present in your body with your feelings and learn to take responsibility for them and learn to connect with the love and truth of your higher guidance, you will see that you get all filled up with love and with peace. And it's when you're filled up with love that you have love to share. That love is overflowing, and you want to share it with others. And that's such a different experience than trying to get love. The wounded part of us is always trying to get love and have control over getting it. But that's what creates relationship problems. It's when we learn to take responsibility for loving ourselves, filling ourselves up with love, that we have love to share with others. And that is so important right now. So important to fill ourselves up with love, so important to be there for each other, so important to share our love, so important to be compassionate with each other. But in order to do that, we have to be compassionate with ourselves first. If we're just trying to give love and have compassion for others, but we're abandoning ourselves, we're going to have expectations of what we expect from others. There's going to be an agenda. Love needs to be a free gift. Compassion needs to be a free gift, not given with an agenda to get it back. And the only way it's a free gift is if we're actually taking responsibility for our own feelings by practicing inner bonding and learning to manage our deeper core painful feelings of life. So I encourage you to really learn and practice the inner bonding process, which you can do at innerbonding.com. I really encourage you to listen to this podcast over and over if you need to, and learn to truly lovingly manage the deeper core painful feelings of life so that you don't turn to various addictions, various ways of numbing out and avoiding your feelings and avoiding the very important information that our feelings have for us. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that this podcast is very helpful to you, and I hope that you tune in to future podcasts. Be well, be safe, and do all you can to support your health and well-being. Blessings to you.